Yo, what is up guys? My name is Grizzly, and today I'm actually gonna be starting a new series. In this series I'm gonna make a champion guide for every, how to put it, like viable top lane champion. And obviously the champions that are viable changes with the time and it's not a constant. So for example, like if a champion is meta this patch, for example Galio is really strong top lane at the moment, he can basically like get nerfed next patch and be completely unviable. So I will basically go through the champs which I think have kind of some sort of sticking power in the role and that are actually viable in ranked, and also champions that I would personally recommend playing to climb. So I won't go over every single top laner, and I will of course do these in segments. I will do one champion at a time. But I thought I would start off. This is, by the way, one of my other accounts, which currently sits in Master. This account right here is Diamond 1 18 LP. I also have another account currently sitting in Diamond 1 48 LP. So I'm basically around Diamond 1 Master Elo, and I've been that consistently for like 3 years. So if you want to doubt my credibility, that's basically what you can go on. Nothing more than that. So if you're higher Elo than me, you can probably still get something out of it. I don't know if you don't main the role. Or if you still have trust, you know, in the Grizzly himself, but otherwise, if you're lower elo than me, I'm sure I can teach you something. Okay, so let's get started then. The first champion that I'm gonna go through is not aatrox, because I actually would not recommend playing aatrox to climb, because right now he's actually kind of decent. I think he sits at about a 52% win ratio or something like that, but that's basically because he's kind of a cheese pick. You know, people don't really know how to play against him and therefore he sits pretty high. So the champion I'm actually gonna go through first is Akali. Now Akali is also, you could consider cheese, but she's actually being picked recently in the Challenger series, and I believe that the champion is like so strong for solo queue. She actually has a good matchup versus Fiora, one of the few like kind of melee bruiser champions that actually win versus Fiora consistently. Okay, so let's go over her kit first. Her passive is super overpowered. Akali's first two attacks are empowered. The first strike heals her and the second strike deals bonus magic damage. This has a really short cooldown, and it goes down with level as well, so it gets super strong later on. Q is basically an harass ability. I'm actually gonna make sure the sound isn't too loud on this. Okay, okay, so she throws out a harass thing, and if she autos the target she procs it and deals a lot of damage. Her W stealth surge is also a short dash, and enemies are slowed while within it. E is a really short cooldown, kind of a AoE ability. It's kind of a dead ability in her kit, usually. It as wave clear, it's good for dueling, but it doesn't really fit that well, honestly. I think it's a very weird spell, but nevertheless it's fine. Her ultimate kind of what defines her. If you don't beat Akali pre-6, you're pretty much in trouble. It's basically 3 dashes that stacks. She has 3 stacks of them, and they're quite far range to deal a bit of damage, so that's good and all. Okay, going over to the mastery page. The mastery page for Akali is basically always Thunderlords. Before, some people used to build her kind of tank and go grasp. I don't think this route is viable still. I think that Thunderlords is much better overall. So Savagery for obvious reasons, Assassin, Merciless, Dangerous Game, Precision. She's really strong with Precision actually. It's both magic and magic penetration and lethality. And then Thunderlords of course here. Sorcery of over Fury, you won't be auto-attacking that much. Depending on matchup, Fresh Blood can be good, but most of the time Feast, and especially against ranged champs. And then here you go Natural Talent 5 points because you need both AD and AP a lot. You could also go like 1 point here, but she has innate sustain, so it's not important. Some champions actually need this 1 point for like some sustain, because the way it works is that if you have no lifesteal at all, you heal 0 per auto, obviously, but if you have 0.4, it actually rounds out to about 1 healing per auto a lot of the time, and that's actually huge because you auto wave like 10 to 12 times maybe, generally, so it actually adds like 12 HP per wave, which if you compare that to Feast, it's kind of like another Feast, but it's only 1 point and you get 4 of these as well, so that's why some people do 1 point here, but Akali doesn't really need it. And then Battle Trance is, in my opinion, the best pick here. Okay, so the rune pages, she could take a quite a different approach than other champions. The 26 AP page is fine. I usually run this actually. It scales the best in my opinion of the viable pages. Of course you could go like scaling AP and so on, but I don't really recommend that because you want to spike at level 6. This page is like solid all around, pretty much the best. You could also do the flat AP versus magic damage champions. Other than that, there's not really a page that I would recommend. If you do some kind of like cheesy Trinity Force kind of Gunblade build, you could go with the attack speed actually, and do AD. AP and attack speed could be good. I actually quite like Trinity Force on Akali in some cases. It's kind of like a Lich Bane that doesn't scale as well, but it spikes earlier, makes you a little bit more tanky, and also adds like pushing power, and you can build like Gunblade, Trinity Force, and then like Deadman's Blade and stuff like that, and be quite tanky. So that's basically just the general setup, and I'm gonna go into a training session and show you some of her combos and how she works and stuff like that. So yeah, see you guys in the next clip. Okay, guys, we're now in the game. So for starting items for Akali, Doran Shield is so good on her, and this item, keep in mind, it will actually get nerfed soon. They will increase the cost by 50, so you will only be able to start with this in one pot, but I still think it will be the best item even after this nerf, so that's good to keep in mind. It gives basically Akali like all she could ever want in a starting item. It gives her a lot of sustain, and that's actually what she needs, because her weakest point in the game, arguably it's like level 18 full 6 items versus certain comps where she can't 1v1 the enemy top laner and she gets CC'd in fights, but like generally 99% of the time her weakest point will be levels 1 through 5, and once she gets 6 you can basically like kill any lane opponent. She's like one of the best level 6 champions. Okay, so after Doran Shield, after you played the first back, you usually want to back around like level 5-6 to like buy, so you can kill the opponent easier. So I'm just gonna add some gold here. Your first back will most of the time be aimed to be the Hextech Revolver. Now this adds so much damage to your combo, it's actually quite insane. So let's say we're level... oh, that's the XP lock. Never mind, okay, level up. Let's say we're level 6 here, okay? So we're just gonna skill it like so. And then we're gonna add a target dummy here. I'm just gonna like show you the basic damage Akali can do. So the best way you want to treat ladies, you want to Q them, you want to wait for your Q cooldown, and you see the debuff, and then you want to auto, do another Q, auto then again, and then start spamming your stuff. So that's like the basic trading pattern, and this item will add so much damage to this burst. Not only does it give 40 AP, but it also gives you 72 bonus damage. So I will do it again, just... And the most realistic thing is actually that you engage with your ulti, so you do that, you get the proc, and you get another proc, and then you E and you continue ulting and space around and stuff like that. So that's like how it generally works. So with that combo, like, you can basically kill any lane opponent. It's quite sick how much damage you deal actually. But after you're done with the like starting stuff, maybe you will have to like grab boots or something like that, and something towards, you know, standard stuff. You want to go into Hextech Gunblade, and then after Gunblade, the most usual item is actually Sonia's. And for boots, if you're like getting quite fucked, or you really want to win the 1v1, if you're against like a Renekton for example, you can grab Tabbies, but most of the time you actually want to go Sorc shoes, because Magic Pen is so good on Akali. Now she does do like physical damage on her E and on her autos of course, but Sorc is like so good, and you don't really need the CDR from Lucidity boots, so that's not that needed. But obviously if you face like a Renekton, you can go armor boots, and if you face like a Swain or something and you really want to like kill him, or more rather be able to win the 1v1, you want to go Mercs. Okay, so after Sonia's it really like depends, and even Sonia's depends sometimes. If they don't have like any AD threats, you can just go like straight into Lich Bane, or you can go Banshees. I usually like to go Banshees second item. I usually like my second item on Akali to actually be defensive, so I don't get like insta blown up in fights. If you use split push versus like one type of damage, this can also be like really good. Like a Banshees versus a Swain really fucks him quite hard. And then after your build should look like something like this, and then you can go into the Lich Bane. Lich Bane is super good on Akali. The mana is wasted for sure, but still like the other stats and the proc, it adds just so much damage. And if they have built like over 80 to 90 MR generally on a lot of their targets, you grab a Void Staff. And if they have not, it gets quite interesting. Now, Rabadon's is a really good item on Akali, don't get me wrong, but her skillings aren't actually that amazing. So we have some alternatives here actually. Let me go into magic actually. Okay, so Rabadon's, it's fine, but it's not like that great, so you really want to make sure that you buy the right item. Now, Rabadons, as I said, it's kind of good. If they, however, have MR, you really want to make sure you grab the Void Staff. Another other item that's still actually pretty good in Akali is actually Rhyalize. Now the item is really cheap, so if you're in a situation where you have 5 items and like a big fight is about to break out and you only sit at about like 2,600 gold, so that means you can't afford the Rabadons, and let's say they don't have a lot of MR actually, you're like the only AP threat on the team. Rhyalize is actually really strong, so keep this item in mind. It's quite good. I would not really go Ludens, although in theory it could be fine, but the movement speed is kind of wasted, so it's like, it's not that good. Now there are some other alternatives on Akali. You could actually go like kind of bruisery, so what that means is with this build I would not really recommend go a Spirit Visage here, but if you had previously built a little bit more tanky, let's say you really wanted to win that Renekton 1 versus 1, or your team needed some kind of like front line pressure, you could go into Deadman's Plate, and you could also, like I said before, you could have grabbed the Tabis. So your build could look something like this, and I think that's like so good with this build is actually that none of these items actually don't give her survivability, so you're basically building like kind of like a hybrid tank. And as you can see here, you still have, I'm actually gonna level us up to level 18 so it gets a bit more realistic as well. We actually sit about 261 AP, which is not bad actually, and 160 AD. Our Gunblade does about 330 damage, 340, something like that, and our Q-proc deal about approximately, that's like 300 something, almost, that's like 400 damage actually, so that coupled with Thunderlords, which is an additional 200, 450 and like 400, so that rounds out at about like, it's so much over 1k burst. It's actually like around 1600 damage, I would say. If you space autos and you do a couple of ult procs, you can basically like kill carry so easily with this build, and the Deadman's Plate attack as well. So this build is actually like, it's solid, you know. You get a lot of tank stats, you won't get insta-blown up like ever, and you will still be able to kill carry. So this is actually my like preferred route on Akali actually. So I'm gonna spawn enemy target dummy here, and I'm just gonna like show you the like basic damage you can do. Now this isn't like the optimal, as I said, you could wait for a Q like that, but let's say we engage in a carry here. So as you can see, we do at about like 400 damage, 380 per second, which is actually like super good considering our build. So you should actually really try to do this. Now I will try to get the full AP build, and I'll show you the damage difference. We round about at about 320, obviously when we don't have energy, our DPS drops, but you won't be on a target for that long anyway, so yeah, it doesn't really matter that much. Okay, so we're gonna teleport to cursor, we're gonna go here. Okay, so I'm gonna buy the like AP route now, and I'm gonna show you like the DPS difference. Now the burst will be a lot higher for sure. We're actually gonna try the full-on damage build. This looks like a more of a traditional Akali build. Teleport cursor. Okay. So how do we reset the? Okay, I'm gonna do a new one so we see the DPS. Okay, so I'm gonna burst. As you can see, the burster at the beginning, I did 6k damage actually at the start. That's actually fucking sick. I don't know if that was a bug or something, but that was insane. 5.7k. Okay, so as you can see here, we're gonna DPS for a bit longer, but as you can see, it rounds out at about almost double the DPS. It's not really double, but it's like 200 more, so it is a significant difference. But you have to keep in mind that with this build, of course you have the Sonias and you also have the Banshees effect, but that this other build has as well. But you have like 1000 more HP, I mean, and you are a lot more tanky, but as you can see, this build actually does a lot more damage. So it's actually like, both are really viable, but you have to consider what the enemy team comp looks like, what your team comp looks like. If you need a lot of damage, obviously the full AP build is preferred, but if you have something like a Galio mid or something like that, which is picked quite a lot nowadays, and that builds mostly full tank, and you need a bit more damage, like, don't be afraid to grab the Rabadons. Another negative aspect about this build is that it's a bit more expensive, so that's one thing. And also, if the enemy builds a lot of MR, you won't really get the Rabadons until later, and as you can see, this actually gives us a percentage AP boost by 161, which is absolutely huge. So without this item, maybe you sat at about like 600 gold less or something like that, and you could have instead like finished a Spirit Visage and a Deadman's Plate instead of like Rabadons and Void Staff. It's earlier spikes, which can make a huge difference, don't get me wrong on that. So you just have to keep all these things in mind, and obviously these things comes with experience, it can't all be theory crafted, but in my opinion the tank build is a bit stronger overall, especially if you're not that proficient with the champion Akali. I would recommend starting out with the tank build, building like even maybe Sunfire, even though that item is like kind of nerfed right now, but like get started to get to know her kit. Obviously if you're tanky you get to fight more, you don't die as much, you get a lot more experience on the champion, and then you can, once you're proficient enough, move into the full AP build, and you have to be able to like do the combos efficiently. Now obviously Akali isn't the most mechanical intensive champion, but she can still actually be quite hard if you wanna do everything perfectly, so keep that in mind, guys. Anyways, this was the first champion guide. I will probably do more of these. The goal, as I said in the start, is to actually do one guide for every relevant top lane champion. I will see if I get to do that actually, but that's my goal right now, and if you guys have any questions about Akali, you can leave them in the comments below, and you don't have to request champions, because I will cover most of them, and if you want me to cover like aatrox, maybe I'll do it. I don't know, if like 5 people request it or something like that, maybe I'll consider covering aatrox, but we'll see. Okay guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.